Okay, can all of you see this?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Some of the stuff I'm going to go through pretty quickly, but I'm hoping we can have a discussion at the end of this. This kind of, I sent you the email about it. Here's what we're going to do in October, and this is an important one for you if you got your calendar. I'll hassle you about this a whole bunch of times. We typically, the Peer Mentor program has been on the 4th Wednesday of the month. In October, it's going to be on the 3rd Wednesday of the month, and we're going to switch it with the TPC, the Teton Photography Club's program, which will be called What Did I Do? I'm not sure if it's What Did I Do or What Did We Do? I'm going to turn that over to David in a minute. Please notice that switch, because I can just see it coming that people are going to get confused because it's always been the 4th Wednesday of the month. David, can you tell us about What Did I Do? The explanation. This is kind of a fun exercise that we did in January or February, David. And I hope that a number of you, bunch of you, and it's kind of like the peer mentor thing, that you can get involved and actually do something and send it in, or you can just watch it. Tell us a little bit about it, David.
Oh, so if y'all remember what we did back in January, we had everybody send in their photos with basically the whole idea of what do I do? And, you know, we had people on the board, but others make suggestions of here's what you could do with it, different ways to edit things, basically, which is the opposite of what we did for the other thing where we sent all of y'all some photos to edit. But this one is you send us and we'll all make comments as to how to edit your photos.
David, so what should be sent is the raw image, or what is it should be sent what we've already edited? Or does it not make a difference?
I tell you what, we look for the snapshot. On around October 1st or 2nd, we'll have all that explanation in there for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, because I think I'm a little biased on this one, but I think that the TPC has been doing some interesting things on the participation. We had that Ask the Experts a week ago that we didn't have a whole lot of people at, but we got some really good information from that. What Did I Do? And the other one I think are very helpful. So I hope that some of you will choose to go to participate. Okay, so the in October and only October, the Peer Mentor program will be on the 3rd Wednesday and the TPC is on the 4th Wednesday. That's because my wife is having surgery on the 4th Wednesday and I've got to be ready to be home and not get ready for you guys. Okay, last meeting in August, we talked a little bit about a Saturday photo shoot, and then we had some problems with COVID, which is happening all the time lately. So this would be a really good time to have for us to have a photo shoot, because the beginning of October, the late in September is also always a good time to take landscape photographs. And I was wondering if I were to send this out and try to encourage people, would Saturday, October 2nd at say 6:30 be a good time? Would some of you consider participating?
I want to be here.
Yeah, I would. I'm going to be here. I'd like to do that.
Okay.
Sure, I'd participate. Randy, do you have any ideas about where we'd be?
That's what I want to ask you, because I don't want to, there's some places I've been to lots and lots of times early in October, but I thought leave it up to you guys. Like Oxbow Bend, the first week in October is thousands of people that are oftentimes very obnoxious. Maybe we should go some other place. I'm willing to go wherever you guys would like to go. Any ideas?
I was up Pilgrim Creek on Sunday, so I don't know whether the colors will be passed at that point. But the cottonwoods were just an electric yellow up there.
They come first. And now we're talking about a week and a half from now.
Yeah, so that might be a little bit late. Why don't we ask people to send in suggestions? Because I'd agree, the two places I would not want to go are Oxbow Bend and Schwabacres. They're ant hills, and frankly, I'm kind of bored with both of them.
I like both of them, but if not when there's going to be well over 100 people at both of those places. I would think at Moore Monroe, it might be the same kind of thing. I've never
So,
been
Randy,
there.
can I
didn't
make
know
a
you
quick-
spent- David?
I'll make a quick suggestion. If
Sure.
people would like to go or not like to go on that week, maybe just send a comment in chat and I can total them up for you.
Oh, that'd be super. Yeah, if you don't want to participate in terms of doing that.
Does anybody know the name of that old ranch that's down at Dirt Road, just past Bradley Taggart Lake, and you turn to the right and you go down, and it was a working
That's
ranch?
Barbie C.
Or is that what it is? Okay.
Yeah.
And
I
I
mean-
think
Barbie
the
C is
road's
really
closed.
nice.
I
But
think the
you've
road's
got to have a
closed.
car that'll get you down there because the potholes are unbelievable.
I think they've closed that road already.
Oh, really? Yeah, that's a good one in the fall because there's all cottonwoods around those, and there's dozens of little cabins.
It wasn't closed as of today, but that doesn't mean it won't close in the next 2 weeks. So
Right.
Okay. All right, but that's a good idea for if I think waiting till October 2nd, you're being a little risky. But if you've never been down there for the fall, it is beautiful, really beautiful. Okay. If you are interested in going on October 2nd, send David something in the chat room now, and I'll make sure I get back to you. Okay. Quick reminder of something that we do every week. I put this in, that what are the rules, and you guys are really good at it. I don't get any photographs at the last minute, afternoon, the day we're meeting. You know the rules that you can use any type of camera, phone, any type of post-processing. But it also says that they should follow the guidance. And we're going to talk a little bit about this today because we have kind of rules that we made pretty clear on the TPC website. So when you're voting tonight, this is a little bit different. We're voting for fog, steam, and smoke theme. And you should be voting for, and you'll all get for the first round, four votes. You're not voting for your favorite photo, you're voting for the best photo for that theme. And I want to start a discussion tonight talking about what that theme is and what you learn from reading the articles and that kind of stuff. So let's move along. So here's our first set of 3 questions. There was only 11 of you that sent me a photo. I would imagine there are probably a number of you that took some pictures but never got around to sending it because there wasn't something that you thought was really a good picture for fog, steam, or smoke. But let's talk about these 3 questions. What was the most serious challenge for you in creating those photos? Which theme, fog or steam or smoke, was the most difficult? And what got in the way or made a theme more challenging?
From my perspective, anyway, smoke was really difficult because ultimately for me, there was so much noise in the photo that they just wound up looking really muddy.
Okay.
In terms of what I learned, and it was more from looking at the example photographs in the articles, I came away from that, and particularly on the fog photos, thinking that sometimes it was, if you were thinking about characters in a story, sometimes fog is the main character, and other times it was a supporting character. I mean, in some it was just overwhelming and beautiful, and in other settings it was the sense of mystery, I thought, that it created, even though a number of elements in any given photograph were actually pretty crisp and clear.
Mhm. Yeah, I found that to be true, that you could take advantage of that because things that were closer to you were easier to be in focus. And things that got, the farther something was away in terms of fog or steam or smoke, the more it was hidden, that really set that up.
Right.
What about the rest of you?
I'll make a comment. One of the things about photography is always the light, and the light always makes a difference. And when I was taking the images, I realized that the light wasn't a helper. It was more of a detractor because you didn't have light. So you were mostly photographing a mood as opposed to a good quality image. And it was difficult.
It is. It's difficult. There is an exception to that sometimes, that you'll get through fog or steam or smoke. You'll get light coming through on a small opening that can be kind of cool. I think, in fact, I think there is a one of the photographs. I don't remember all of them, but one of them that has some of that.
And I would a little bit challenge that you're photographing a mood rather than a sharp image. I think one of the alluring effects of the fog is that that's exactly what you're going for, is a mood.
Mm-hmm.
The fog yesterday was just so great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was on this side. I didn't know what it was like on your guys' side, but the
It was-
whole Teton Valley was just socked under for, well over an hour.
We had patchy fog, but patchy fog is really good for photographs.
Yeah. But something is then in focus.
Well, I couldn't see Snow King from my window, which is 1.5 miles away. It was thick.
I imagine the tighter the valley was, like downtown in Jackson, the more likely that would stick around for quite a while.
It was much heavier downtown.
I would think.
That
So.
moved out really quickly.
Yeah, it burned off real fast.
Oh, see, ours didn't.
By the way, Randy, I just sent an email to Chip Jenkins, who's the superintendent of Grand Teton Park, to ask him if that Barbie C is going to be open October 2nd. So if he answers me before we finish, I can give you the answer.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah, let us know. RBC is really different, and you typically don't see very many people. When we've gone in the past, I think Arnie, you went with us one time, and I know David did. We got into some trucks, and we had, I don't know, 10, 15 people on 3 or 4 trucks, and it was a whole lot easier than trying to drive a low car out there. Okay. Are there any rules? We're going to talk about this in a minute. Are there any rules for fog, steam, and smoke theme? And if there are rules, what are those rules?
Yeah, I actually had a hard time just with that whole concept because, I mean, the first picture that I gave to you was really a picture of an old cabin with Mount Moran in the back, and it was all smoky and out of focus. And I thought, well, I was afraid people would say, it's really about the cabin and not about the smoke. You know what I mean? So I didn't really know how to take a picture about smoke.
What do the rest of you think?
Well, again, going back to those articles, so there's one, I think, of the downtown Chicago, and this is sort of an answer to Gigi, where the fog in that one played kind of a minor part. And so if using that as an example, I think I haven't seen your photograph, but if the cabin is the focal point, that's fine. And the smoke, just like I was talking about earlier, is a supporting character in whatever that image is.
The reason I brought this up is that when I made the change to the two kind of categories in the themes that we have, one of them is about composition and one of them is much more general. And what we found, of what I'm going to show you in a minute, is that sometimes some of those themes have rules, others don't. And this one is one of those that don't have them. So let's compare the themes for the last 5 months in terms of does it have a rule and how did that affect you? I mean, you kind of are the same old folks, and that's not meant in a negative way, that send pictures. The people that are here today are people that have been to, let's say, 3 of the 4 of these or 4 of the 5 of these. When in May and June, we had silhouette as the theme.
Oh, yeah, that was hard.
Yeah.
What did you learn from having that theme? Because I think sometimes people think, and no one's ever said this to me, but I think it's like they're rolling their eyes and, I don't want to do this again. This is a pain in the butt. But I think that having these themes really is a challenge that is helpful. What did you think of doing the silhouette theme?
It made me,
Randy, I think we have to be, just on the rules bit. Rules can and do inhibit creativity, and so I'm of the mindset that whether it's silhouette or fog or clouds or smoke, that needs to be part of the image. But to me, what gets me excited about an image is its overall composition and its emotional impact that it has, outside of the technical aspects of it. But those are the things that I look for. So when we talk about rules for silhouette, okay, so there's a silhouette in that image somewhere, but it doesn't have to be the main subject.
Oh,
It
no,
can be,
I would
it
agree
can,
with
it can
that.
be as I think Gigi and some others said, can be part of that supporting cast. So that's one of the things that the whole theme bit with the PMG group has kind of got me thinking about is not to be too constrained, but look to incorporate the theme into the overall image. And it does, and to my mind, and this is a personal, it doesn't have to be the dominant factor. It can be the supporting cast, or it can be the supporting, or it can be the dominant factor.
Okay.
And
No,
go ahead.
I agree.
I agree with Gigi. I mean, well, the main question is, I would ask, is if you took the fog or smoke away, then would it be the same photograph? I mean, if that creates the mood, then so be it. I mean, it doesn't have to be the dominant thing but if you took it away, would the photograph be less interesting?
Okay.
A good point, David.
And I agree with Barney. And I guess under the circumstances, I think that when we're picking these themes and there are certain rules with them, it's a great way of bounding what it is you're trying to learn that month. But I agree with Barney that within what you've bounded, if we're too rigid about it, it really does stifle creativity.
I wouldn't
But
disagree.
it could
with that. I
also,
think that- Oh, go ahead.
it could also focus on creativity, take you out of your box and make you think differently.
right.
I agree with that.
And
It
I
forces
found
you
it
to
gets
take a
me-
picture in an environment that you might not be comfortable in, that you would never put the camera out because it's going to be a lousy photograph until you see the elements, and then you feel like you get a good photograph.
Yeah.
And I found for me that it challenges me to go out and look for that, like in silhouettes. I had seen some silhouettes, but had never thought about that as something to actually look for. And it taught me some other things as well. Let's go to the next one. The next one was July, was macro. I learned a lot from this one. Does this one have a rule? And did it teach the rule, if there was a rule, did it teach you anything?
One thing, I did not participate, Randy, but when people say macro, it's too large a term. Some people think extreme close-up is macro. To me, I'm old school. Macro means the image is greater than 1:1. And like just the eye of a fly as opposed to a very close-up of the head. It's so I think here's a case where a rule may be important in defining really what the objective is.
And that some people would see that as the rule and some people wouldn't see that as the rule.
Right. Well, that's why maybe you have to state the rule.
Anybody else on macro? Well, I really like macro because of something that I don't think of macro as in quite the same definition as you do, Doug. But David that night was talking about, well, really macro should be the key ingredient in macro is that it has a wide depth of field, even though that depth of field in real life can be millimeters. But for the picture to be good, there has to be quite a bit of depth of field. And that really made me think about that. I think we thought about it so much. I'll send you the bill, David. I even thought about buying a macro lens. I've got a real old one from like the 1960s. It doesn't do very good.
Actually, I don't remember saying that, but that's okay.
Oh, I won't send you the bill then.
Well, some of the best
Yeah, but
macro shots
as you
have a
know-
narrow depth of field, so I don't really agree with that either.
Yeah, I don't, yeah, if I said that, I retract the statement, but I was kind of more of in the Doug comment. What I was trying to say is I thought there were a lot of photos that were slightly out of focus. And also I thought there were photos that, to go along with Doug, macro was always defined for me as greater than 1:1. So so when something is like, oh, I took a close-up of a flower, but it's any 50 millimeter lens in the world could have taken that. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think it's one of those, maybe we didn't define the rules close enough about what that really was.
Okay.
I mean, I used to do macro with a bellows.
Oh, yeah.
And you put something like a long lens on a bellows, you can be backed off from your subject quite a ways and get very, very close. Now, today you got things like focus stacking in your camera can do a lot for you. Back then, I still have it. There's a little rack and pinion gear for moving the camera in, parts of a millimeter at a time to achieve a focus stack or to find the focus you want in the first place.
Right.
So to me, it is more than 1:1, and that's the challenge. And you don't need a macro lens to do it. You can get extension tubes for a few bucks. You can even get an old cheap glass front element filter that would take you very close. In fact, Canon makes a very good front glass macro attachment.
Okay,
You
let's
don't
move
have
on
to
to the
spend a
next
lot of
one.
money.
Okay, the next one was minimalist. This is the one that kind of got me started thinking about it a long time ago. It actually was for a negative space. But what about minimalist? How did minimalist affect you? Of all these, I think this one affected
Randy,
me more
just
than
to
anything else.
add to the minimalist, the Minimalist International Awards were just issued not too long ago, and I don't know whether anybody else has had a chance to see them or not. But I thought it was quite interesting to for us to go through this in August and then to see what the international community voted on the best minimalist images. I can send you that link if you want, and you can include it in the follow-up newsletter if people are interested. But
I
there
think
were
that
some
would be
I'd
good.
love to see that.
there were some very curious things that were in there, and of course, from the standpoint of portraits, which is what I was doing with that, I was glad to see that there were indeed a portrait category for minimalists and how they did it. It's so, yeah, some of the images, quite honestly, didn't connect with me, but a lot of them did. So I'll send it on, and you can send it out to the group.
Okay, will
This
do.
is another example where it's in the eye of the beholder, I think, as to what the definition is and how you view the image. What is the main subject? What surrounds it or doesn't surround it? I think this is a hard one to define specifically. And again, here it can be both in subject matter or in technique and or. So I think it's a rather broad category.
I see this one. This wouldn't be the first time you and I have disagreed, Doug. This was a
Aren't
really
you glad
good
I
one
haven't
for
been
me
around?
because I learned something else from it. Probably the biggest impact on me was that my thinking about minimalist photographs was that there was little to nothing drawing your eye away from something in that photo. And that helped me to realize that I had lots of branches and junk on the edges of photos. And that month, I was always looking for that. And I think it did have an impact on me as a photographer.
I don't
This
disagree.
came up for me yesterday when I was out shooting for my fog, and it's not a photograph that I sent in to Randy, but as I was driving to a meeting, there was the sun coming up over a tree. And instead of putting it anywhere in the center, it was on the right side of my thing with a blank page on the other side. And so it just made me think differently.
Mhm.
It's
And
also a
this-
good space to put text.
Yeah, for the cover of a magazine.
Yeah.
Okay, and now we're to this one. And we've already talked a little bit about it. Which of the four themes there, silhouette, macro, minimalist, or fog, smoke, and steam, which one of the three themes do you think have what I put in quotes, rules?
I think silhouette definitely has rules. Something needs to be dark.
Yep, I would agree.
In macro, there's a specific definition for it, or should be anyway.
Yeah, and we may not all have the same definition, but yeah, there is a definition in a sense. I would say the same thing about minimalist.
Well,
But
I
what
think
about
macro
fog,
is more
steam, and smoke?
specific than minimalism, though. So
Pardon?
I said, I think macro has a more specific definition than minimalism.
Yes.
Yes, I would agree with that. But not
Yeah,
everybody.
I would
sees
disagree
macro
with
in the
that.
same way. Go ahead, Lou.
I disagree with that. I mean, minimalist really says something that you're going to have to make of that photograph. And, macro could be minimalist also.
Yeah. But typically in a macro, it dominates the picture and
Right.
nothing else is
But
there.
that's just the way you're thinking.
Yeah. So do rules help us learn more about photography? And was fog, steam, smoke a relaxing theme or a more challenging theme because of maybe a rule? What do you think?
Well, I think it was challenging just to get the picture, not to even worry about the theme. I mean, just finding the smoke and making a good picture, finding steam. I didn't go to Yellowstone, so I think just getting the fog, smoke, and steam was hard before you even thought about rules.
Was there anything that the rest of you, including Gigi, when you woke up in the morning and where you were in the daytime, that there was something like, oh, this is a good one, and you knew what to go after? Or
No.
was it just a pain in the butt?
Well, okay, this is an answer to your question, but in the art world, I think rules are they're more guidelines to steal a line from Pirates of the Caribbean. So that, rules are made to be broken in the art world. So they're
Not in politics, but in the art world.
yeah. I mean, if anybody's watched Pirates of the Caribbean, so keep to the code. Well, they're more guidelines than actual laws, So yeah, they're guidelines, and I mean, if they're egregious, then they need to be called out. But if otherwise, so what? If it makes you feel something about the photo, then I mean, if somebody takes a beautiful picture and over on the right-hand corner, there's a campfire with smoke, I don't think that qualifies. But if it's causing a house to burn down, then that's a whole other thing.
Well, it might qualify if it was a part of a series of images and it's in a story. So you make a good point, though. Sometimes an image standing alone has a very different meaning than it does in its context with things around it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I also agree with this month, the tough part was chasing either the fog, steam, or smoke, because I jumped up a couple of times and went to where I thought it was going to be good. And the atmospherics change so quickly that what might have otherwise been a good photograph, well, in my opinion, suddenly just went flat because suddenly the fog was lifting, or in one case, it was so thick that I couldn't get the depth I was looking for.
Well, yeah, that's because fog sneaks in on little cat's feet and then leaves like a
But
cheetah.
with steam, yeah, but with steam, you could do that in your kitchen with your tea kettle and be creative by putting some colored light on it. I mean, and that would qualify as a steam picture.
Well, what I was trying to do with this was to get you to think about it, the theme tonight, in terms of having a criteria. I mean, way back in the day, it's probably been more than 2 years ago. I think Doug, you were there and David, when we had the first time we had where the theme was, it was minimalist, I think. And we had a long conversation about it, and how important is that? And for me, having these themes makes me think about things I wouldn't have thought about before. And so
Yes.
I think it's valuable to have these themes and to talk a little bit about not a rule like, something that the police are calling you out on. But I think that what David was saying is true, that artists see it very differently. I mean, minimalists came from artists in the 60s, from everything I've read about them. So, okay, here's what we got. We have 11 photos tonight. So this is kind of the rules we use every time. Here we do have some rules. When we have 10 or less photos, then each person gets 3 votes. When there's 11 to 14 images, everybody gets 4 votes for the first round. And then what happens is we pick out, you send your vote to David, and he'll pass that on to me, and we'll take 3 or 4 pictures. We usually have ties in this. And what we'll do is we'll identify of the 11 pictures, let's say there are 3 that are picked out for the final vote, then the other 8 of them, we'll critique them so that everybody that submitted a photo will get some information on their photo, that people will critique it and talk about what they like about it and how it could be changed, etc. Okay, everybody got an idea about that? Anybody have any questions? So we have a couple people that this is their first time, I think. Okay. Okay, wait a second here. Okay. Where's the screen sharing for this? New share. Okay. Now do you guys all have just my picture of Lightroom?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Here are the 11 pictures. For those of you that are new, what we'll do is we'll go one, I'll show them large like this. This is picture number 1. This is picture number 2. And I'll go through the 11 of them. Big, we'll go back to this screen and then I'll do it again so you can, because you might get down. Remember, you've got 4 votes. When you send in your votes to David, you do it by the, what is it called? The chat room, David?
Yes.
That is correct. And make sure you, well, if you want your vote to be private, just send it to me.
Yep. And also, like if it was picture 1, 2, 3, and 4, it should be 1, comma, 2, because otherwise David gets confused, which I imagine.
And
any of
that's
us
pretty
would.
easy to do. So
Yes, very easy to do. Okay, here's question, photo number 1.
Randy, before you go any further, your histogram and your is covering part of the photo.
Yes, the
Yes,
panel. He
close
needs to
that.
get rid of the panels.
Hit your tab key.
Oops,
Other tab.
One more
key.
There,
there we
yeah,
go.
There you go.
Is it all right now?
Yes.
There you go.
Okay, because see, what I see is not what you see. This is picture number 1. Picture number 2. Picture number 3. Picture number 4. Picture number 5. Picture number 6. Picture number 7. Picture number 8. Picture number 9. Picture number 10. And picture number 11. So here are all 11 of the photos. And I'm going to show them to you one more time for a little less time because you may have to decide between numbers 3 and 6 or something like that. If you know what your 4 votes will go for, go ahead and send them to David, and I'm going to send it through one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay.
I think those are all really great pictures.
This, of all the things we've had, this is as diverse as we've ever had. That's why I asked the thing about kind of the theme. Is there a rule? And I don't think there are any rules at all in this one.
For the most part, they're different, which shows the diversity of how people see things.
And there's very little, for lack of a better word, rules for this. Like minimalist, there's a pretty clear guideline. Maybe guideline is a better word than rules. But there isn't a good guideline for this. I mean, this is the second time we've ever used this. We did this, God, probably 3 years ago, because I remember Tim was the one that won it. And his was a very unique picture because it was about fire in a building. How's things coming, Doug or David?
I kind of double checking everything. Hang on.
Okay, that's good. We like double checking. While we're waiting, any other recommendations for ideas for a October photo shoot?
Signal Mountain.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, I sent a couple up to David going up Grovant Road, going out towards or up into Shadow Mountain is another one.
If we go up in near Shadow Mountain, are we gonna come across people who have found dead people up there? Is that where that happened?
No, that's a little bit further north.
Uh,
It's about well, you know where Snake River Overlook is, and so the turnoff for that dispersed camping area is about 4 or 5 miles north of that.
Okay.
The road up to Shadow Mountain is pretty bad.
Oh, horrible.
Yeah,
it's
it is
horrible.
pretty bad.
I don't understand how people can take an RV up there, because some of the holes there are a foot deep.
So
Well, it's
Randy,
nice
how many?
that
Oh.
they've improved the Grovant Road, that with the regrading and paving and all that, that's you can get up into the Red Cliffs without too much trouble.
Oh, past String or Slide Lake.
Oh yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah, we took some bikes way back up in there, and which was interesting. So go ahead,
David,
David. Sorry.
Oh, I have a quick question. How many finalists are there?
well, if typically it would be 3, but
Okay,
if
I just wanted to make sure.
if there are ties there, we can have
I understand the
4.
ties. I just didn't know if it was 3 or 4. Okay,
It can be 4.
give me a second. So you want the first three, right?
First three, unless there's a tie there, and then the first four, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, I'm just checking. Hang on. Okay, here we go.
You did it. You did ask for 4 votes, right, Randy?
Yes.
Okay, because that's what I said.
Your top 3 are, make sure I get this right. My scribbling sometimes catches up with me. 2, 6, and 11.
2, 6, and 11. Okay, 2, 6, and 11. So now what I want to do is critique each of the other ones that are not with a star there. 1. What'd you think about 1?
It's definitely smoky and it's
Yeah.
lovely light.
Yeah, compliments to the photographer for getting in the right position
Yeah.
with the sun setting right behind it. When I saw the thumbnail of it, I wasn't too impressed, but when I saw it on the full screen, I really liked it.
It's called pulling your car over when you see it.
Well, yeah. I think we've all
Jam on
done
the
that too.
I think I would have liked a little more detail in the mountains themselves. Like, I know you can't see it, but on the left-hand side, you can see that the sun is coming, seeing, what is that? Middle Teton and South Teton. Anyhow, that there's a little bit more information in that picture, I think would help out. But yes, it's clearly a smoke picture. Anybody else have any critique for it?
It's really
Well,
like a shadow coming off the tip of the ground.
Yeah, I like that.
I have to say though, Randy, your critique sounded like you were critiquing a landscape. And that's not necessarily bad. I'm just saying.
It's not
Where was
just,
it? Where were in your comments was there smoke? I mean, I'm not criticizing the critiquer here. I'm just saying that was my comment about this was, I mean, it went, oh, cool landscape shot.
I think the
Oh.
color of the mountains is nice. I like that kind
Yeah.
of purple color.
That was a beautiful photograph. But my first reaction wasn't, ooh, moody, smoky, foggy. It was what Randy said, landscape, sunset.
It probably reminded us too much of all that smoke.
Well, that may be true.
The one thing that I just, and again, this is a personal choice, is whether or not the photographer would like to take a little bit off the bottom. I mean, you need to have enough of a base there, a foundation to support the mountain. But to me, cutting it down, just, cutting about halfway up, still would give that supporting base and
Give more
make
drama to
the grand even more prominent. But again, these are just personal views.
and I'm wondering if you can see it on your monitor. See, what I can tip my computer around to probably see more of it than you guys see, that I see at the very bottom, that it's the foreground. And I'm wondering if you guys can even see that.
I can't see it on my MacBook Pro. I mean, it's all a uniform
Solid
dark
color.
blue, black for the silhouette.
Yeah.
Except where the light comes through.
Okay.
I really like this shot. Whoever did it, that's just priceless. I love it.
It's
As
very
do I.
What
dreamlike.
is it that makes it priceless for you?
Well, I mean, look at the, I mean, the interaction
Interaction.
between the coyote and the raven. And then you've got a diagonal board coming in from the right-hand side, which really helps support, to me, supports the backside of the coyote. And it's well framed between the two posts. You know, you could argue and take off a little bit on the left-hand side if you wanted to, but and then the background, the smoky, foggy background keeps me focused on the interaction between the bird and the bird and the coyote.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the problem I had with that. I thought this fog or whatever was supporting it, but that's not the photograph. The photograph is the raven and the coyote.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I really didn't think this would actually fit the theme.
I didn't think it did until I saw it big. Then I realized that there's the reason why you don't see any detail in the background is all the fog. I mean, we could ask the person that took it, but I think that you'd see a whole lot of stuff there if it wasn't for the fog.
I like
Yeah,
this one because the coyote has a real personality. I mean, it's like, it's not just a coyote along the side of the road. He's looking at that raven, and the raven has a personality too. It's like, no, you're not going to do anything to me.
Yeah,
Not to
exactly.
be a contrarian, but so is the coyote foggy?
Yeah, I mean,
The light on the coyote is just absolutely spectacular. I mean, it's, you know, I rarely am looking for, I'm always looking to shoot animals that are front lit and not backlit. And here, this is side lighting that just highlights the chest and the ears. I mean, it's, yeah, no, it's,
In the tail.
if I were
Yeah.
driving and I saw this shot, this is one that I'd probably drive right off the road.
No, I agree. I think it's a great photograph. I just thought it didn't fit the theme. So,
and I kind of agree with David on that. Well, I agree with everybody. It is a spectacular photograph. But to me, I don't see really fog as an element of that photograph. It's so strong with this wonderful interaction between the wildlife.
It wouldn't be near as strong if the fog was not there.
Right.
I agree.
Absolutely.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
a sense, it's an example of minimalist. I mean, a weird example of a minimalist, but the fog makes it, that's all you have to say is this fox and that raven. And the
Yeah,
fence
it's
lets them up.
this front plane that everybody is sitting on that we're drawn to. Really well done.
It's a great photo.
I agree. It's a great photo.
So can you tell us who did it?
I'll let them, they are here. If they want to say that they did it, that's fine, but
That's
We're
my
still voting on
photograph,
them, So
Charlotte Kidd.
Well, well, I hope you didn't drive off the road when you saw it.
I stopped very fast. And the coyote was walking along the fence, and there were several ravens, and the ravens would fly off as soon as he got real close. I managed to catch this one. And thank you for the nice things you said, Barney. Thank you.
Oh, I just love it.
Yeah, I love it too.
Put that one into CMPA when
Yeah.
it comes up.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, I have to say, I think that's one you could hang on your wall and look at for a long time, which is
I agree.
okay, what about this one?
Woo-hoo.
Gosh, where was that?
Well, it definitely has steam in it.
And it's a
That's
nice
fun.
locomotive photograph.
Yeah, it really is. Where is that?
East Coast,
Okay.
I don't know.
Who's on the East Coast?
Yeah,
Yeah, for me, this is one of those pictures that, oh yeah, but the more I look at it, the more I can see how long the train is, that the smoke off of that train, I mean, the placement of the train just slightly to the right. I really like this photograph.
It's moody.
Yeah. It's different. It's old school train.
Mhm.
You can kind of smell the smoke or
Yeah.
steam, whatever it is.
The only thing in terms of a critique I would suggest is to cut off part of the left, that tree on the left, so that the train track on the right train, the train track that's there ends at the end of the picture. That may just be my personal belief in it, but other than that, it's sharp. It's got a theme for it, a story.
That
See-
brings up a question that I would like to ask all of you. I often end things like that railroad track at the corner of a photograph,
Yeah.
and some people say that that's not good. So what do you all think? I mean, if like you say, Randy, if this photographer had taken some off the left and the track was right in the corner, the lower left corner, would that be good or bad?
I'm holding my envelope up to this to cut out that tree, and sure enough,
It's better with cutoff.
the track ends just like Charlotte was saying, exactly in the corner. And I don't think it takes away from the photograph at all. I mean, I've heard that same statement, don't end something in the corner of your photograph. And I'm just wondering if that's a convention that's just silly. You know,
Us
it's one of
against
those
them.
rigid
Well, that's
rules
interesting.
that you never do. And I really don't understand why that's a rule.
Well, that's interesting, Gigi, because I've heard exactly the opposite. Put a diagonal up near the corner to strengthen the image. And so, I mean, what I did just with my hand was to move the image in from the left hand side to the corner of that inner where that inner the track closest to us hits the bottom, and then take a look at that. Now, it's really hard to do. It's one of those things in Lightroom. You just make a couple of dupes and cut it off and see how you like it. But to me, when you cut off that little bit of that tree, and all of a sudden I'm feeling like I'm closer to that locomotive.
So you wouldn't cut it off?
Well, I would cut it off. Yeah,
Oh,
no,
okay.
I'd bring it in. I'd generate two crops. One with the far track down in the corner, and then another one with the inner track as the corner, and just let them sit for a day or so, and then come back and look at them and determine which one I like better.
Yeah, I agree. I've always heard ending something close to a corner like that is better. So there you go.
Good. I'm
Makes sense.
glad to know that, because I like to do that. And somebody dinged me once on it. And so I've kind of been not
Well,
sure.
dig them back. That's
Okay.
You know, in this particular photograph, a comment that Randy made in the beginning was that the train was off to the right. And the problem with putting that track, cutting that off, is you start to put the train right in the middle. And I think it looks better because it gives the depth of how far you're going into the forest with the train, with it pushed off to the right. And I think cutting that track off would take that away.
Well, Lou, don't you agree, don't you think that the train right now is pretty much in the middle of the image?
No, I think the train's on the right side.
Okay.
Of the whole image, it's almost all
It's weighted
right.
on.
I mean,
It's weighted
the
on.
front of
weighted
the
on the
train
right.
is close
Yeah.
to the middle.
Yeah.
But to me, one of the beauties of this photograph is you get the whole train. You get the depth of field in this, and I don't want to lose that.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it's a powerful train too, and it needs room to be moving forward.
It
That makes
does look
sense.
like a powerful train in your face. And I think the lights being on and the smoke add to it. It's like you can hear it coming.
I like the American flags on it too.
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay. silhouette time.
It's a great raven silhouette, and it's definitely foggy.
Oh, yeah. And it's a very sharp outline of the post and the raven. And everything else is kind of blurry.
I'd like to see the post and the raven a little tiny bit farther to the right. It's sort of almost in the center, and I don't really like that.
So you could crop off the right-hand side.
I would crop a little bit off, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
And even a little off the bottom.
Well, there's a part of the, see, I probably can see a little more than you guys can because it's the original on my screen and it's not going through Zoom. If you cut off more of the bottom, there's a post that's, the raven's standing on a post up and down, but there's a post that's coming towards the viewer as well.
That's in front of it, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like a rail.
Yeah.
And there's like something hooked to that post that's coming out also.
Yeah, like
And
this
it
was a
might-
mailbox or something. I can't quite tell, but
That line kind of draws your eye up to the raven.
Right.
And
Yeah.
if you cut off that post, then it'd kind of be typical bird on a stick, sort of.
yeah, because it makes you think, well, what is that? Yeah. But it's not, what is that on the left-hand side all by itself? It's part of the raven post and whatever the bottom is. I really like this picture, and that it's in black and white. I mean, the fog really sets it off. Any other feedback, critique? Okay.
Did you miss one?
Well, the one that I missed is actually one of the final three.
Okay, thank you.
Love the colors in that one. The blues and the purples and the pinks,
And all of the layers.
yeah, and all the layers.
I just really like the depth of it. You know, as somebody said, the blues and then the kind of startling red from that smoky sun on the left as a
Now, this
contrast.
wasn't taken in the last week, obviously.
No, but I think it's beautiful.
It is beautiful.
Yeah. I think it definitely fits the theme. This was number 7, right, Randy?
Yeah, this is 7.
Can I ask where this was taken?
This was taken from what I call the Targhee Peninsula. If you're driving up to go skiing at Grand Targhee, there's a big switchback and a parking lot at the top, but you can go to the south along that. I call it a peninsula. So you're a couple hundred feet off of the road down below. And it's just one of the more amazing places on this side of the mountain.
Yeah, it's really nice. It's nice to see a different view of the Tetons.
And the thing I like about this picture is that when there's not smoke, you don't recognize how many layers there are.
Good point.
Is that
It's
right?
like the Grand and then the grass in front of you. I've been there, 5 or 6 times this month to see that. I go back just to see it because it's every time it's very, very different.
Randy, this is your image?
Yeah.
Okay, nice, very nice.
The layers are beautiful.
I love the detail of the trees along the silhouette of the mountains.
Mhm,
Yeah. My
It's
guess
the
is that
reason to-
if you did this as an HDR, it wouldn't have the dramatic impact that this image has.
Yeah.
Randy, it's a reason to be happy when there's smoke.
That's why I kept going back. I
No.
could deal with the smoke because some of the sunrises, and every one of everyone was a sunrise picture, and it was amazing, the sunrises into that smoke.
So Barney, when you're saying if it was an HDR, it wouldn't look the same, why is that?
Well, Gigi, I would think that the shadows, well, all of a sudden we start to see a lot more detail in the shadows, and
Oh,
the advantage there is that we might have more detail on the grand, but I really like the kind of the distance feel to this. I mean, this feels more like an Oriental shot than our classic Teton shot. And that I think that's one of the reasons why I was drawn to it. And I think the layers. I mean, we see Charlotte and I have seen things like this up in the Smoky Mountains because of
It's a
the blue
classic
haze that's
Smoky
there.
Mountain film. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I
But,
think it's a beautiful picture and something you could, again, could you hang this on your wall and look at it for a long time? I think it fits that criteria. And I think it fits
Absolutely.
the theme
Yeah, I
of the,
agree.
Yeah, this is the
Yeah.
picture
Really
you
nice.
show to people and tell them, this is why you don't want to come here in August.
no, that is,
Or
No, Randy.
September.
Randy, I totally disagree with your statement on your own picture. You show them that picture, they're going to want to come here.
Right.
Yeah, because they don't understand what the smell is like.
This is Doug. I've got, I think Barney is right. I think if that was HDR, you would just have a foreground that's beautifully exposed, and the background would be one layer. The other comment is that, as Randy knows, from that location, it's a great picture in the winter with the snow. I've been there. It's a great picture.
It
Randy,
makes it
if-
a lot harder in the winter, though, that the snow is up to your waist.
Randy,
Yep.
I have a question. I'm wondering, did you try to enhance the peach color at all to bring it a little bit more into the picture?
Yes, I've been practicing using range mask. And I actually learned a lot from the pictures from this morning, that morning, about how not to make them look phony. I could make these foregrounds in the original picture. The foreground was pure black. And I thought it's nice to see that there are actually, we're not having a forest fire here, that there actually are a number of layers of different types of trees there. And I think in this picture, you can see it in the front left, but then when you go to the right, it just didn't look right. I could lighten it up a little bit, but it looked folky.
Okay, I just was wondering if you had tried it.
Oh, I played around with these a lot.
Randy, what did you do with range mask?
On the range mask, I had gone, I remember, I think, Charlotte, you and I were in the same Lightroom class 2 years ago. It was on a Saturday and Sunday when we had all the snow. And they went through it really quick, and I never really picked it up. And I went to Facebook and got something, and I needed to play with those little arrows that are on right underneath the where it says range mask. And I learned quite a bit. And I always I learned this from Doug, hit the command key next to and then the key right next to return, so you get a whole bunch of them to play around with them. That's one of the things I really liked about the smoke theme, was it taught me different things about the Lightroom masks and how to change not so much the colors, but the exposure of them. Okay, we got to move along here because we got to give it. Okay, what do you think about this one?
I think that's beautiful. And I'm wondering if it isn't our Lake Jackson that is so low right now.
I would think so, yeah.
Yeah. And I've been up there and I didn't see this beautiful image. This was great.
I would think this is from the north end of Jackson Lake, way beyond the dam.
It's
And
beyond
it's like
Coulter
there's-
Bay. It's
Beyond
beyond
Coulter Bay, yeah.
and
I,
there's-
I, I think this is a wonderful photograph, and if it weren't for smoke, it would be a great minimalist entry as well.
Are those birds in the water in the foreground there? It looks like it.
Looks like it.
Yeah, they're herons, and there are a lot of them, but if I did a close-up of the herons, I would lose the whole image. So I let them be just kind of dots in the distance. But
No,
as you
I
can
like them
see,
that way because it draws
I-
my eye to it, but it gives it a sense of how far away it is. They're tiny.
yeah,
There were,
even
there were
though-
no herons on Monday.
So, Erica, how far up were you?
I was, like you said, I was at the one of the pullouts just before you start getting on the John D. Rockefeller.
Right.
Yeah, and it was so sad because I had a bunch of clients and this is what we got to see. You know, it was so smoky. And when I saw the image later, I said, well, that tells you just how bad it was. And at the same time, the birds were having a wonderful time. They were
Oh,
just,
because there's probably little fish in there.
well, that or crustaceans or something, but they were having a wonderful time. And I think it just, the starkness of it just told the story of how bad it was that week.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
I was up there and I counted 38 herons, great blue herons, the time that I was up there.
I think if you took the time and counted all those ponds, you probably would get close to that number. It was amazing. I
right-
actually did some images where they were closer, but it wasn't as good a story, so.
Right now, the water is so low, you can almost walk over to Mount Moran and not get your feet wet.
Oh, God.
I have
Sad.
never, ever, I've only lived here 20 years, but I have never seen it like this, never, so.
That's pretty alarming.
Palisades is the same thing.
Yeah, what I really
Yeah,
love about the
Palisades is-
photograph is also minimal variation in the colors, and that profile of the Grand is almost more of a suggestion than anything else.
Is that the Grand?
It's
Well,
either- well, maybe it's Teton, but
Yeah.
it's a beautiful photograph,
It
very
is.
evocative.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you. I'd like the way that the ponds reflected the gray of the sky,
Yeah.
and they just added to the image, so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
printed on canvas, this would be spectacular as well.
Yeah.
It looks
Thank
like a
you.
painting.
Yeah, the more I look
Excellent.
at this painting, that's funny. I was about to say, the more I look at this painting, the more I look at this photograph, the more drawn in I am because I know what it is. That it's sad that this beautiful lake, this view most times across the lake, this is completely different. Wow.
The dam raises the level of the lake 39 feet. And we're down around, I think it's the 8-foot level now. And there's more water to go out. And as someone said, the Palisade is in the same condition.
Yeah,
That's
we were
great.
to the Palisades a couple weeks ago. I mean, the boats looked like these little tiny things way out away from, God, half a mile of shoreline.
Water is important.
Yeah.
Which had nothing to do with photography.
Well, it's what you put in the water, David.
And yes, Doug, I have something in my water.
Guess in this one, I would feel like if more of the sky was cropped out, that blue at the top, it would put more of an emphasis on the steam or fog that's in that little valley there below. This must have been a couple of days ago because I can see on the right-hand side, that mountain has snow on the top of it.
I would love to have a horse there behind that front fence.
Yeah,
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
We need
But what's
something in the
nice about
foreground to grab
those-
our attention.
What's nice about the clouds, it's not one big blob.
Yeah.
They're individual things and they have layering to them, and I like that.
gives it depth of field.
Yes.
I really like the moodiness of those fog clouds. Under the circumstances, the amount of fence just keeps pulling my eye down toward the bottom of the photograph. I don't know if there's any way to crop any of that out.
I think it could be cropped. It could be cropped to the top fence.
Yeah, yep.
And I think it would look really good.
I would probably take some of the blue out, as somebody suggested, and almost make the fences the focal point, with the clouds being the supporting character.
Yeah, but there's so many fences. I know.
Maybe crop enough so you don't have as much fence over there, but I like the leading line of the fences on the right.
Going up
Yeah.
the hill.
Me too.
I was
Yeah, I
curious, wonder what this would look like in a black and white.
Yeah.
Maybe like you said, cropping off the frontal fence and then dropping down the sky.
Might be a great black and white.
Yeah, I don't know what the conditions are, but I would just think about what I like to describe as cropping with my feet, and that is just to move up to that first fence and shoot over that. And I don't know whether you have an immediate fence right behind that, but yeah, no, the location certainly has a lot of potential. But I agree with the comments about the amount of fence in the foreground.
This
Yeah,
kind of
I
shows
was
what
thinking the
happened.
same thing, Barney, that if you put your camera on the other side of the fence, the white fence grabs your eye, takes you from the white little barn as you walk by the clouds there.
This is what happens when you're in the car going from a meeting to another meeting and trying to get a shot to send to Randy and not let him down.
I like the honesty there, Lou.
Well done, Lou. Well done.
Under the circumstances, good catch.
Yeah, we totally understand that.
Clouds are beautiful.
Where was this that there's this canyon or whatever it is behind this barn?
Down as you go around the road all the way around from High School Road all the way down to come out at Meadow at
Talking about Fall Creek
the
Road?
highway, and it's at that big corner where you go down in those pretty houses down there.
Oh, down in the area of Shooting Iron?
Not that far,
Okay.
but there are also great sunsets from that position.
This almost looks like you're out on the veldt somewhere.
Well, it could be a silhouette picture.
Yeah, with the fence being pure black and Sleeping Indian in the background.
So, where is that?
Are we on the elk refuge?
That's on Spring Gulch Road. I was on the way to a meeting.
That's the new excuse. We're all talking about that. Okay. It's
Yeah, given the weather and the time of year, I go past that a lot. And almost there are no two pictures that are alike. here the trees are silhouetted, sometimes they're not, and you get a sharp, if like Barney says, if you were to take this a little further up to the fences right, you would put the sleeping Indian more into the picture. There are a lot of ways to reshape that picture just along that fence. But I love solo trees like this. I find them very interesting.
Particularly
Why-
with the fog behind them.
Yeah. Why is there one line of trees? I have not walked out there, but it could be a little stream providing water.
Oh, you got a creek or a ditch, irrigation ditch.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
probably.
guessing, an
Yeah.
irrigation ditch.
Yeah, I agree with Doug on that, and I get fascinated by lone things, and I'd almost just take the fence out and make it a total panorama. And then it would be this really interesting, what's that mountain on the far left?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
it
right.
looks like
I
an
can
Indian.
I think
see.
the other thing that's one of the other things that gets my attention around this is that, we talk about things you want to have 3, 5, or 7, and here's a good example of a 7. And I just keep going back and forth around those, across those trees. And I'm glad somebody pointed out Sleeping Indian, because otherwise I don't think I would have noticed it.
I know, I didn't notice it either.
How do the rest of you feel about the fence being square to us in the front? It kind of makes me feel like that's where it ends. That I wished it was at an angle or something like that, but maybe that's just me.
No,
What do you mean, where?
I like it on that same plane as the trees.
Oh, okay.
I used an envelope and cropped out the bottom so that all you have is the field and the trees. And I really like that with the fence cropped out. That would just be one suggestion. So there's no competition for the trees.
It doesn't lead me in, it stops me from getting in, kind of.
Well, it doesn't for me. I just think it's because I travel that road a lot. Member of golf and tennis up the road there, so that's.
This is another great example of we always talk about things being on the thirds and the like, but those 7 trees are kind of top dead center, and I think if it were off on the side, I mean, to me it wouldn't be as strong an image. I think that you really nailed it on the placement.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree with Barney. Yeah.
Okay, now we're going to go.
3,
Yes.
2, 6, and 11.
Okay, now I can make those bigger.
Oh, can I just say something while Randy's doing that? It's a real good thing he said only 3, or we were going to have a big tie.
Oh, we got a whole bunch of 4s?
Yeah, all right, just FYI for everyone.
Okay, here are the top 3. You only have 1 vote now. I can go through each of these. Oh, wait a minute. Now, please note that this is a different number. This was 2, but now it's number 1. This one was 6, now it's number 2. This was number 11, and this is number 3. Just send this as 1, this is 2, this is 3 as your vote to David, okay? Because this has gotten confused before. This is number 1. This is number 2. This is number 3. So and you only get one vote now. So send in 1 or 2 or 3. I assume nobody needs me to send the big picture. You're okay with this size?
Yes.
While we're waiting, can I lay claim to the steam engine picture?
Sure, sure.
I never know how much we're allowed to speak up when our picture is being critiqued. I live in
Whatever,
Northeast
Kathy,
Ohio.
that's perfectly okay.
No rules.
This is Doug.
That's true.
I love the steam engine train. I used to collect trains and have a model railroad. And what I like about it is it's something we don't see around here.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
different.
Where
Well, I live
were
in
you,
Northeast.
Kathy?
I'm sorry.
Where were you?
So that's, it's actually owned by the Fort Wayne Railroad Historical Society, and they bring it to Cuyahoga Valley National Park here in Northeast Ohio every September. So it's here for about 2.5 to 3 weeks. And so we photographers learn what the schedule is for when it will be going in the right direction to have the steam, because sometimes they're pulling it backwards and you don't get the steam. So I went out last Saturday night. And so usually I like the challenge of the subject, but as soon as I heard the subject this time, I knew exactly what I was going to do because I already had it on my calendar to go shoot. They call it Steam in the Valley. And so I went out and went to one crossing first and shot it. Actually, this is the one that I used. And then I hurried down to another crossing and got some other images there, which I had better steam at the second crossing, but it was kind of grainy looking. So I chose this image instead, but it's fun to shoot and you don't have much time. It's moving and it's probably within about 10 feet of the rails. And actually
Well,
the first crossing, I got ash in my hair. I didn't realize. So I wore a hat for the second crossing.
Well, I love the angle of the engine coming out of the trees.
Thank you.
I think the trees framed it very well.
I agree.
And for your railroad buffs, it was
Kathy, one thing I would
built
suggest,
in 1944 and was in. Yes.
Kathy, a suggestion I would have, if you could in Lightroom, lighten up the back end of the train just a little bit. The engine dominates the scene, but draw the viewer's eye a little bit into the cabs behind it without brightening them up very much, but just a little bit because they're really in the shade there. I think it's a really good picture. I really like it.
Could you quickly put it back up, Randy?
Yes. So wait a second here. I can take that off. Here. See what I mean by that is you don't see this. If those cabs were a little bit brighter, it would take my eye back into the scene more.
Okay.
Now, Doug, did you have something you wanted to say?
Yeah, actually, it was my favorite picture.
Thank you.
Just because we're so accustomed around here to do our landscapes and the animals and so on. This is thinking out of the box, which we are trying to do with our themes. And Randy, you're right. We could probably lighten that up a little bit. But if she'd waited a little longer for it to come out of the trees more, she may have missed the shot totally, as she said. These things.
No, this is the perfect
I have
place.
multiple images as it's coming forward. I started when it was first coming out of the trees and then
Right.
coming forward. And one of them, I kind of missed part of the engine itself, but I thought this was the best of the series
Oh,
that I have.
Yep.
Yeah, that brings back the
Way down
good
the
old days.
driveway.
You
Okay,
guys
I'm
are
gonna
too
go
young
back.
to remember, but as a kid, I used to take a steam engine from New York City up to Lake George for my summer vacations.
Neat.
Okay, we got to move along here because
Okay.
it's almost 9 o'clock now. David, we got a first place, second place, third place?
Yes. We did.
Okay, who's in third place? I mean, I was thinking no ties.
Number 2 is in third place.
This is in third place. Okay, let's give feedback to this photographer.
Well, for me, I just thought that was a jaw dropper. I was going to say, how did you get this?
We'll have the person tell you at the end, because
Okay.
this is an interesting story.
Oh, okay. I just think it's gorgeous. I mean, it's unreal, but that's actually what I like about it.
I was thinking this would print beautifully on one of those metal surfaces.
Yeah.
Yes.
Those metal prints.
Mhm.
I was thinking
Like-
the Hahnamühle metallic paper. I'm sorry, that's an
Yeah, no,
inside
we
joke.
talked
You've
about
been
that the
living
other
in the
night.
right place, David.
That's an inside joke, kind of. So sorry.
No, I understand.
And the other thing I just love about it is, I mean, it's got a real distinct foreground, and then your eye is just led down the river.
Well, yeah, I think it's another one of those you can hang on the wall and look at for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, gorgeous processing.
And here, for me, the fog on the river is on the water is a supporting cast in this case.
Yes.
It's an invitation.
Yeah, I wish I was there.
I wish I was there too,
Me too.
with a big down jacket.
Yeah, don't think I'd want to be in a kayak there for this.
Oh, you're
day,
kidding.
'cause I mean,
Yeah.
it was in a September picture, so it's not super cold, but boy, it looks cold.
I want to know both how that was created and I want to know where that is.
I think we should have the photographer tell us.
All right, and so this is Barney. This is an infrared shot, and it's shot with a infrared camera that's got an 830 millimeter nanometer filter on it. So it's pure, harsh black and white. This is taken just below the dam up at the lake, and
Yeah.
if you know that turnout between the dam and
Yeah.
the junction on the
Yep.
right-hand side, I just pulled in there a couple days ago, and because I never walked down there because there were always fishermen and like down there, so I just grabbed my IR camera and with an 85 millimeter lens and just started walking down there and saw this, and the sun, I was shooting right into the sun, so it was so I had to one hand to shield the camera and then the other to get the exposure right. So that's the
Is that why
backstory behind this.
the upper left-hand corner in those trees, that's where the sun was?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the sun,
Dude,
and I.
somebody needs to mute their audio. I hear a lot of background noise.
The drama,
When- yeah.
that to me is just spectacular.
Yeah.
That's a good way to describe it, Sue. The drama of the sky. It looks like it's winter.
Chris.
Ugh.
Hey, Penny.
Yeah.
Yeah, hit mute.
Oh, sorry.
Okay,
Well,
thanks.
Barney, did you think about taking out the black area on the left?
No, I didn't because I wanted to, I felt that the willow on the lower left-hand corner with it sloping down
Okay.
gave a nice finish to the image. And if I crop that off, then I have a more of a, where's the river going? So there was a little bit that was taken off on
Natalie,
the
would you
left-hand
be able to
side,
take us to there on
but
Friday?
very little.
It'll be around noon. Okay,
The important thing was to bring that tree in on the right-hand side and use that as an anchor, and shoot and hope for the best.
That tree on the right-hand
Mhm.
side is screaming, it's winter to me.
No,
It's
it looks
so
like it's been-
white and- ooh.
yeah.
Well,
just
that's
an
just
infrared.
green, and of course, green in far infrared turns white.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think the dark on the left is required. Otherwise, this thing would be floating, I'm not sure where. It's an anchor as well as the tree on the right. It helps frame the scene. And I knew this was Barney's. I knew this was an infrared picture, so he's the only person I know that has a camera.
Well,
Barney, what was the temperature?
Well, this was just what Monday morning, so the temperature was high 20s, low 30s. Yeah, it was actually a gorgeous morning, and also was able to shoot the grand for the road that goes down to Cattleman's. There was the clouds and the sun just interacted well with that. So I was very pleased with that. But anyway.
so this is on the way to Cattleman's down that road?
No. This is
No.
not. This is off
Closer
of
to the
that
dam?
pullout. That
this is
pullout
between
before
the dam pullout and the cattleman's pullout.
It's where as he said, it's where the fishermen usually are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I
between
float
the
past
junction,
this all the
between
time.
the junction and the dam, on the way to the dam, there's a pullout on the left-hand side,
Yeah,
paved pullout, and you just go back in there, and then there's a trail that goes right down to the river. I've never been down there. That's the first time down there, and I was just like, wow, I got to come back here.
oh, Barney, you remember you saw those pictures I'd taken last spring? And that's where I was, is about the same place.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, I went kayaking there about a month ago, and it's
Yeah.
a lovely ride. It really is, down to Pacific Creek. It's a
Mhm.
nice kayak.
Yeah, then it can get a little bit scary.
After Pacific Creek.
2 years ago, I got a picture of a grizz coming across the water there.
Super.
Nice.
Wow.
I think you should Photoshop a dragon into it.
Okay, David,
I'll work on that.
who's in second place? Which number, 1 or 3?
There is no second place.
Oh, they
It's a
tied.
tie. For so
Okay. We'll start with this one. Whoops, not this one. Okay.
all I gotta say, if that doesn't fit the theme, nothing.
Yeah, some of the articles talked about that, yeah.
I love that one.
There's
Yep.
just something magical about it, and it's
I
really
know, you can just keep
ethereal.
looking at it. Yeah, just keep looking at it and looking at it.
So we just want to know if it was legally
What?
implemented
Legal
smoke.
What made the blue?
I would assume it's the light the person used to light it up.
I don't know why it's blue on the left, but so this was, first of all, I don't like taking pictures of smoke, so I waited way too long this month. And then my wife left for a couple of days to an artist retreat. I had free reign of the house. So I fired up some incense in the kitchen then strobed it from the left side, and why that left side is blue, I really don't know. I didn't do that even in Lightroom or Photoshop or anything like that. I took,
That makes it.
yeah, this is I took a lot of images, and this I thought was the best one. So it was a
Sure,
struggle
makes
to get
sense.
this far, and the house stunk by the time I was done.
Does anyone else see the head and the neck and the shoulders and? Yeah, and no, nobody else does.
It's fine. I see a
What
I
spine.
were
see
you
the bottom is
smoking?
their spine.
I'm smoking. Yeah,
If
for
I
my-
did, I'd be doing this every night.
Yeah, in the top left-hand corner, it's like a jaw, and then
Yeah, right up here. I
and the
can see
neck
it,
and
yeah.
the shoulder. Yeah.
Scarlett, have you been smoking
I've
something?
been smoking. I was in the room too.
This sounds like when I've been out with Dave Brookover and he sees things I don't see.
There's no
I do have to
arthritis
say
in those
that-
vertebrae.
Yeah, I have to say the bottom part, I've actually had to look
Yeah.
at too many pictures of my own backbone lately. That kind of reminds me.
It does.
One of the things I really like about this, Arnie, is that the colors, it's not all just white. The blue, the white, lots of gray, of course, and the black really makes it stand out, I think.
Yeah.
The black background works too.
Well, I like the purity of the composition. I mean, or the thought. It's purely smoke. So,
Yeah, there was this was kind of a pain to do because I actually set up a big black backdrop and had all the lights off in the house.
and what's the little rectangle over on the left?
I have no idea I don't know what you see. I don't see it.
I do.
Oh, this right in the middle?
No, no, no.
No.
On the very
Right,
left.
right
there
there
you
on
go.
the very, yeah, right where you're, whoops, you moved your mouse.
I don't see
Right.
it.
There
I
it is.
see it.
Oh,
I have-
that. Oh, that little white part.
It might be a kitchen cabinet. It might be the end of my backdrop right there, that line that goes up.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't notice that.
gotta do it again.
Yeah, we crop that out.
The more I look at it, the more this does kind of look like a shoulder, and this is the neck, and these kinds of pictures,
Randy.
if you
It's
stare
like
at
a-
them long enough, they drive you crazy.
It's like a
You
Rorschach
You can make a
test.
Halloween costume out of that.
Is that the one that won?
Well, it's a
There's
tie.
two that won.
Oh, two that won. Oh, okay.
Here's the other one.
Oh, okay.
Which is exactly the same, but totally different.
Exactly the same, but totally different.
I wondered if this was taken at Palisades or someplace, because the foreground, the color of the foreground there is just grabs my attention, and then the smoke kind of leads my eye back, but I always keep coming back to those trees, bushes, I suppose.
Well, I think it does, sometimes photographs like this in the fall get so busy and the fog just wipes out the busy, like it lets you
Yeah.
really focus.
Well, I love the pop of color in the foreground and not having, and having the muted background. It
Yeah.
adds a layer and it puts the focus on the color.
Yep.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, the composition for me, the way I really like this because it just draws me in to the image with the two trees on the large trees on the outside, and then the two smaller trees on the inside. I mean, I just can't help but be drawn right into the center of this image, and it's just, and to me that's what's magical about
Yeah.
this.
Mhm.
And I don't know who shot this.
I did.
Two.
Yeah,
So-
so this was
so-
actually before the Palisades. This is going down a canyon close to the Wolf Creek campground.
Yeah, but so many of these shots down in the canyon or Palisades, everything's so busy in the background. You get frustrated when you bring them home, and boy, the clouds and the fog really made this photo.
Yeah, I just lucked out on that particular morning because I didn't think it was actually going to be there. But yep, lucked out, as I said, lucked out.
One
No,
thing,
Sue,
it would
that's
probably
not
do-
luck.
Yeah.
I understand I don't believe in luck, but that's not luck. You got to get out there and have a good eye to find this. Because of the balance of, like, I think it was Barney that said it, the trees, the pine trees in the back and then the pine trees in the middle here, kind of, here's the path. Take a look at it. It's done very well. Yeah, I even like
I
the
might,
little aspen trunk on the left-hand side is kind of
Yeah.
cute.
Well, yeah, that to me too was just this little bright stick of white in there.
Yeah.
It draws your eye in.
Yeah, it does. I wasn't sure I liked it or didn't like it at first. I was thinking that it detracted, but it actually made part of the image work.
Yeah.
I would probably drop the luminance on it just a little bit.
Mhm. On the
On the
foreground.
tree?
On a white trunk.
Yeah. On the aspen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I don't know whether that's a tree trunk or a painted telephone pole or, it's
Bless you.
they're great images.
Yep.
Well, all three of these, all 11 of the pictures I thought were quite good. The three of these are really jump out at me. I'm just really pleased with those. And
They
now,
all make the theme too.
yep, they all did meet the theme. Now we're gonna do this. Wait a second, new share. Now you should have. Got to tell me what you guys are seeing. Are you seeing this now?
We see your PowerPoint.
Okay, so this is what. We don't have a whole lot of time, but I'd like to look at this. What did you gain from this theme and the critique and all that kind of stuff?
You have to take a picture when you see it. You can't drive by.
Yeah, that's a good suggestion because a number of these were taken on a drive-by.
Yeah, what did
What else?
Rachel say? Never pass up a picture. If you have a camera.
I actually was on the west side of Cleveland on Sunday and drove by a Packard, a 1948 Packard in just an open grassy lot. So I backed up. Fortunately, there was no one coming behind me. Backed up and turned down the street and was able to take pictures of it.
Yeah. It's all about our cameras now. When we had cameras that have film, you would never taken pictures like that because you're not going to waste the film on it. Now it's like, yeah, take the picture, learn from it too.
Yeah, Randy, and I thought exposures were very difficult with all the smoke
Yes.
because you didn't have a lot of variations in your tones. You were really stuck with maybe 5 or 6 levels. And I thought that was hard.
Yeah, I agree with Erica. My biggest challenge was dealing with exposures.
I found that I oftentimes was underexposing, and when I try to change it back, it just didn't work. It got too noisy.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Well, bracket.
No, I did that. That's what after the
When
first
you
time
were
up
there,
to
yeah.
the Targhee Peninsula, I realized you got to bracket it a bunch, not just one over and one under, but 5, 6
5.
different approaches to it. Okay.
Now, I always look. Yeah. I'm
One
gonna
at a
say,
time.
I always bug Randy with more ideas for themes. And I've often thought of one of limiting ourselves to 1/36 roll of film.
I'll
You
let
only
you
can
do
take
that, Doug.
36 pictures.
Actually,
No, and
I do have a film camera downstairs.
but I've got a couple, but you can do that. And we could actually look at the shutter count to make sure nobody cheated.
Oh dear. Okay.
I'll hire you the next time, Doug.
All right. Let's pick a picture because I got a conference call coming up. If you
Okay,
don't mind.
it's Arnie and Sue. You guys got to decide.
Ooh.
Well, I'm not
Notice the
sure.
ones on the, just so you see, the ones that are these monthly photo composition themes, all of these have a rule of sorts, while the ones on the right aren't that way at all for the most part. All the red ones are ones we've already had this year. Well, we got 3 more months, October, well, really just 2 more months.
Arnie, what do you think about textures and patterns?
That sounds great.
Okay.
That was easy.
Yeah,
I was
that's-
hoping
haven't
for
had a textures and
portraits.
patterns in a long time.
oh, that-
Hey, okay,
Pictures of people. All
real
right.
quickly, I just have one thing to say. Erica, can you see my background?
Yes. Oh my gosh. The 1,000-mile race.
The 1,000 miles.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to talk. That's all there is to it.
We will. We will. Okay. So they talked about textures and
Textures and patterns. And now I've got 2 people sending me, and that, I don't think we've ever had that before.
we have.
I know we had
It's been at
one.
least 3 years ago, I think.
Yeah.
It's nothing that it's that's in the Teton Photography Club gallery. Because that goes back 2.5 years, so.
Okay.
So thank you very much for showing up, guys. Send me information about October 2nd. We've got some suggestions. Somebody was going to talk to the people in the park to see if Barbie C would still be open then.
Randy, if you want a quick feedback, you got 3 votes for the October 2nd.
3 votes.
You got 3 people who said they would be available. And there were suggestions of the Grovant Road, Shadow Mountain, and Buffalo Creek.
Buffalo Creek would be beautiful. Okay. Well, all right.
Buffalo Creek, really?
Just
It's really pretty.
Trust us on this one, Randy.
Buffalo Creek. Don't we have to carry our bear spray then?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
You just have to
Grovant
run.
Road, Buffalo Creek. What was the third one, David?
Up
Grovant.
from the Grovant, Shadow Mountain, and Buffalo Creek.
Oh, Shadow Mountain. Okay. All right. If you guys have got any ideas, I'll be sending out a letter tomorrow. If we could get 4 or 5 people, that's fine. We don't need 30. That just doesn't work very well. And see how we can
Randy,
do it for breakfast or for.
I'm going to have, Randy, this is Barney. I'm going to have a photographer from CMPA out here for that Saturday. So you can count on 2 bodies, myself and Nancy Howard.
And Nancy.
Yes,
For
it's Earhart is her name, Arehart. She's actually the regional coordinator for CMPA in the Triangle region.
okay, for October 2nd. All righty. Thanks, guys, for showing up.
Thank you.
I'll be in touch either tomorrow or Saturday. I'll have the galleries up and running, and look forward to getting some articles from Arnie and Sue. Okay.
Thanks a lot.
Maybe
Sounds
I
good.
need to-
Thank you, everyone.
week.
Thanks.